the beat that.
Oh, what?
That's all right.
Corey.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, it's Corey.
And Mignon.
And we are back for another exciting episode of Tea
and Worship.
Now, we want to thank all of you, you, your mama, and your cousin, too, for joining us for our very first episode of Tea and Worship with our very special, amazing guest, JJ Harrison.
My brother.
Man, we want to thank you. We want you to continue to keep watching, keep telling a friend, like, subscribe, tell everybody, tell your grandmama, tell your dog, tell somebody.
Yes, sir. And we back, Corey.
We are back.
We back. And when we say back, we mean we are back with the dopest music and, of course, the hottest tea. And I see Corey is still sipping on that Ivy's tea. Is it good?
Oh, you know about the Ivy's tea now. You didn't know about it last week. It's a black-owned tea company. Get you some Ivy's tea. All right.
I will, Corey. You gotta put me on blast. I'm gonna get some.
Okay, good.
So last week, we introduced you guys to a segment of our show called What's Going On?
What's going on? Tell me what's going on.
Corey, are you okay?
You ain't never Marvin Gaye. What's going on?
You acting a little weird, Corey.
All right,
Did you get it out?
I'm good.
Did you get it out?
I'm good.
Okay, today we want to talk about what's happening in our entertainment world. So, Corey, you know what was dope to me?
What's that, Minnie? What's that? What was dope?
Coming to America 2.
Yeah.
You didn't like it? Well, let me tell you why I liked it. I liked Coming to America because I was able to see some familiar faces. You saw Amber Bullock.
Yeah.
You saw Yana Crawley.
Yeah.
And then to see how my kids responded when they saw familiar faces was breathtaking. I mean, they're a part of history. So it was exciting to see those familiar faces. I mean, it was just epic. So I want to know what y'all thought about Coming to America. So leave your comments down there and let us know your thoughts. Corey, what? Just tell us a little bit why you didn't like it.
You have a point. That was great, but I love Coming to America. But I waited 30 years for that woman to still be hopping on that one leg and barking like a dog. 30 years. I want my money back. I want my money back.
From what, Corey?
From the theater that I didn't go to. I watched it on Amazon at home on somebody else's account, but I want my money,
Corey,
theoretically, hypothetically back.
Corey, see, to me, it sounds like a curse. And Corey, I think you may be a little cursed.
That woman was cursed.
Corey, you may be a little cursed.
I'm not.
But guess what?
I ain't hopping on that leg.
You in luck today.
Why?
Because we got somebody with us today that can break that curse. He can
That's right.
sing it. He can preach that curse right on up off you. Who's our guest today?
Our guest today is none other than Pastor Dewey Smith Jr. He is one of the most respected and sought after preachers in the world. You know, I can't go anywhere. I mean, like literally, there are a lot of times I'm just in like most random places and people are like, you go to Dewey church, don't you?
Same.
I love Dewey. That's a preaching man. I'm like, yeah, I do.
He crazy.
Right, he is crazy.
And, you know, for me, when I first came to his ministry, of course you're gonna fall in love with preaching, but then when he opened up his mouth to sing, it just takes me to a whole nother place. You know, like to be a lover of the word, to be a lover of music. Like I'm just in heaven to get it all. I mean, his musical intelligence is like no other. But one thing you gotta know is hymns. You gotta know your hymns, because if you don't know your hymns, then you might just pack your bag and go home. Because you gotta know hymns. He gonna pull out a hymn that was before dirt was made.
Way back in that book.
Before heaven and earth was created. Before Jesus himself. That's the hymn that he gonna. I mean, you can go study the hymn book if you want to, but don't worry about it, because he gonna pull out something that you don't know. You just gotta be ready.
So without further ado, we want to welcome the artist, the songwriter, the musician, none other than Dewey Smith Jr. Welcome, sir.
Woo!
Well, y'all are funny to me. Y'all are funny to me. Thank you for having me. This is incredible. I'm honored y'all let me be a part.
Thank you so much for being here.
We are elated.
Y'all call me crazy. Y'all call me crazy. I'm talking about Corey.
We get it, honest.
It starts with the head.
Exactly.
So we learn from you.
Touche.
But we are so elated to have you with us today. It's an honor to have you with us. We know you have a busy schedule, but we are just so excited to have you with us today. But before we go into the interview, I have to get your thoughts on Coming to America. Did you see it?
I did see it. You know, I think, you know, I hear both of you saying one of the things that I realize is different now. when you as a writer and as a media producer, a lot of things that they got away with 30 years ago would be considered politically incorrect now.
Yeah.
So some of the writing and some of the stuff and some of the things that people did is deemed offensive today. So I think that had a lot to do with the writing of it. I think what was beautiful for me, not just the things you said, Minnie, but I think just to see the fact that everybody still looked good from 30 years ago. See, everybody
Yeah.
was still involved. I think it was black excellence. I think people expected it to be something more or something different. And it's hard to remake classics. Sometimes it's good to leave classics alone. That's a classic movie,
Thank
but I
you.
still think
Be long.
it's black excellence. You know, shot here in Atlanta, and and just to see them still alive and well. That's the thing I
Yeah.
take away from it. So, but it was hard to outdo the first one.
Yeah. But he didn't say he didn't like it, boy.
He didn't say it.
That's all. I'm leaving it at that. I'm just gonna say he looked.
I
didn't
don't
say
want
it.
my money back like Corey, the money he just spent. So.
Well, Pastor, we want to thank you for this platform. Hope TV has been, a game changer. Like, it has really changed so many people's lives. It has helped me being able to tune into different platforms, to different talks. People what they're talking about. It has really helped. Even like in the beginning when the pandemic first started happening, and people were coming that were survivors of it. It was just amazing to see those testimonies. So I just want to thank you for the platform and allowing us to be a part of that. I just want to thank you.
What?
Yep.
No, thank y'all. Thank you both for being a part of it. I mean, you both have been a part of it, not just in worship, but things we produce with the Worship and Arts Ministry, which you guys are doing a stellar job, and other things. And amazingly, one of my colleagues in Brazil uh, is trying to get some of the stuff translated in Portuguese, some of the shows. And
Wow.
so they're musically inclined family, and I mentioned this show to them the other day. So it's interesting to see what's gonna come from that.
Man, we about to be in Portuguese.
Hey, we're about
Yeah.
to
But look,
be.
I want to say something this. A lot of people may not even realize how much of a musician, how much you love to sing, and the artist that you actually are. So I want to know, who were some of your early musical influences growing up in Macon, Georgia on Pebble Street? Who influenced you at that?
That's a great question. My dad put a guitar in my hand when I was 4, and I started taking piano at 5. And so in my house it was Aretha Franklin, Sam Cooke, Marvin Gaye, Temptations, and quartet. My dad was quartet singer, my grandfather quartet singer. So, but early on for me it was Sam Cooke. So that's what we listened to. And the Morning Stars Quartet. That's a group my dad sang with for many years, and my grandfather and great uncle helped to start. So I grew up loving quartet, and my
Yeah.
sister, who's um, actually 6 years older than I. She was a great singer. Prior to start smoking cigarettes, she was a great singer. And so, and so listening to them, it just influenced me greatly. Luther Vandross, I love Anita Baker.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I love her. Yeah, smooth.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome, Pastor. So, of course, with your ability to preach and with your ability to sing, so when that singing Smith collides with the preaching Smith, and then this, whoo, whoo, what is the chord? What's yours?
That's the one for me.
When it all comes together, like we can see all of you in your closing. I mean, you don't hold back
At
at
all.
all. So my question to you is, with you being able to sing, with you being a singing preacher, do you feel like that it some kind of way, I don't want to say hinder, but it causes you to be more in tune with like the music department, than it would if you weren't a singer?
That's a great question. Here's the thing. I play piano, with guitar, piano, motor drums, and then my most proficient instrument was bass. And when I started preaching at 17, I ran into a conflict because all the old preachers said, "Listen, man, you got to make a choice." I was a choir director and all that kind of stuff. They're like, people will never respect you, preaching wise, doing music. So I had a lot of music in me. I started pastoring at 19. So what happened at the time, I followed their advice. So because at that time, They said if you notice, they said most people who sing aren't respected as preachers and pastors, and most preachers
Yeah.
and pastors don't focus on. And even I was talking to Pastor Clay Evans once many years ago, and even the thing you just said, it used to offend him when people call him a singing preacher. Marvin Sapp said the same thing too. Because all of us had the same kind of issue growing up. They said you're a singing preacher. Why don't you call me a preacher? It never bothered me, but those guys would get irate. Why would you put singing first and not preaching? Many others, Donovan McClurkin, many of them have struggled with that. So I just laid music down. I just laid it down, enjoyed doing it. It was singing church, but I really haven't really been singing a lot. I mean, I've been church singing, but every preacher does that. You know, and it's one thing to sing in church with your members who gonna love you anyway, no matter what you sound like, versus trying to do something in a studio in something industry. So for me, I just been a church singer, but I always thought I could do something artistry wise, and people would tell me that industry wise, but because I hadn't done it, had never really done it, was always kind of I was scared of it, really, to be honest with you. And so
Wow.
I just sing in church and try to enjoy it as much, but it's different when you sing in church and the type of singing that you and Corey do. That's totally different. So, it's but I'm musical and I love music, and so I've always been a sucker for musicians because I'm one, and I've seen so many pastors take advantage of musicians. So I know what it's supposed to sound like. I've been a minister of music. I know, I know what it's supposed to be like. So sometimes that makes it difficult for musicians because I know what I'm supposed to hear. But
Yeah.
I try to treat everybody with love and respect, even though I can be kind of anal sometimes about what I want to hear.
No, we get it, and we know that if you hear something that's a little off or just not right, you like, what's going on? You'll give it that look.
Nervous.
All right, you know. But I want to get into your artistry. What was the first song that you ever recorded?
Actually, to be honest with you, I used to sing R&B, and when I was 16, 15, yeah, I had a chance to sign with RCA. Yeah, I had a chance to sign with RCA, and it was right when Johnny Gill and Stacey Lattisaw had come out with a song. They did a duet together, and many years ago, and somehow I was singing on a talent show, and one of the talent guys for RCA came to Macon and had me go to the studio and do some songs and some tracks for him. And I did a song called "I Really Love You, Girl." I was 15, and they wanted to sign me. Yeah, they wanted to sign me because I was, the crooner at the time, and that kind of thing. And, about 100 pounds lighter, you know what I mean, and kind of, had a little chest and that kind of stuff. And my father wouldn't let me sign with him. He wouldn't.
Wow.
He wouldn't let me sign, and that it was very hurtful at the time because I knew I had been called to preach, but I didn't want to do that. So he wouldn't let me sign, and looking back, I think he made the right decision. I wish we'd had more conversation about it. I wish he would told me why he felt that way. But it was like, back in that day, it's like, do as I say and shut up and you don't have no say in this. And I think looking back, I think I would have handled it differently. And actually, I am handling it different with my own son. But I recorded that song, and it was a hot song too. I mean, we played it, and they played in some of the local clubs and everything like that. But he wouldn't let me do it. So that stuck with me 30 years. Yeah.
Wow. This is good. I want to actually.
I wrote it and recorded. Yeah.
That's awesome, Pastor.
We gotta find that.
You're right.
Can we find it? Is it somewhere where we can find it? Because I definitely want to hear it.
I'm sure I got it somewhere in millions of tapes I got. But it was a hot song. It was a sexy song. It wasn't too grown, but it was sexy for 15. Yeah.
So I want to fast forward a little bit. So I want to talk about your presence as a gift. So I know working with you for 9+ years now, you are a man of excellence. Like everything you do has to be excellent. I mean, if you're going to preach, I mean, the sermon is going to be excellent. If you're going to do a production, it's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be grand. Like ain't no half stepping with you. I've learned that, you know what I'm saying? So with your presence as a gift, like what was your process? Like how did you know who to get? Like, what was the process of that?
Well, interestingly enough, it's been 10 years since I said, you know what, I'm going to do this. Here's a funny thing. Um, Charles Jenkins, a friend of mine, just who passed the fellowship, when he went to fellowship, I knew him before he went to Chicago and he take over Clay Evans. And I was pushing him. I said, man, you got to do something musical. He was like, no, I don't do this. I don't do this. And he was telling me, man, no, you're the musical guy. And I can name a few others. So I was pushing him. So he would tell you if you talk to him, did I push him? I pushed him because I knew he could write. And while everybody thought I was going to be doing it, he ended up doing it before me. And I had much more music in me than him. And now he's all over the world. So so 10 years ago, I got frustrated. I said, why am I not doing music? And I realized I was still holding on some of those strongholds. And the ministry got so massive and we had so many responsibilities that I didn't have a margin to do it, financially or space-wise. But anyway, so 10 years ago, I said, I want to start doing this. And I had a team full of people who had all the gifts, but it's like everybody was sitting back waiting for me to take the lead. And so we would do a few things. We did one for the church. I did a couple of things. We did something a couple of years ago, and I wrote a song. Lowell did it, Lower Pie. But I said, you know what? It's time. I don't have any more excuses. God kept saying, go do it. And so I got all these producers in the church and gifted who play for everybody. But having that pinpoint person to make it all make sense, it just never happened. And when the pandemic started, I said, Lord, send me somebody who can help me get this thing out, the way I want to get out, who I can work with, who I know can make it happen. And so when we came, John Webb, who I've known, who's filled in for us for years as a bass, he came, we were having a conversation, and the Lord said, that's him. It's a good time for him. That's him. You got the singers, you got as much talent around you, the band can play, but you need somebody who can administrate this, who can administrate and help pull it together for you, and who's still young and relevant enough. You don't want somebody, you want somebody who's kind of current, understand the current sound. And we talked, and 2 weeks later, we're in the studio, and he'd been working on some concepts, and we got together, and I had a concept about the presence of the Lord, which I talk about later, and it just clicked. We went in the studio, and Jules, Darius, John, and I, all got writing credits on that number, and it resonated with what I felt, really, and it was much better than what I've been working on. So it clicked, and we're finished 5 songs now, and we got about 4 more to finish before we do the album. And it just clicked, and we work well together, and I think he can pull the other producers in who can write, and I just think the timing's right, and I don't have a whole lot of time. I want to go on and do what I can do while I can, because I should have been doing this years ago. So, and I want to give other people a chance to record as well. So I'm excited about it, and that's our first one, and he wanted to push that as a single, and he didn't want it to be something that sounded like me to sound like the church singer with what everybody sees on YouTube and old school, because what happens is we don't ever practice. We just sing off the cuff. And so people think, well, all he sings is hymns. He said, I want to present you in a different light, and I know it's in you. So that's what your presence of gift is.
It was excellent.
Yeah, I first heard it. I said, is that my papa? It's awesome. It's so smooth. It's so smooth. And speaking of the single, we know that it's dropped. It's on the radio. It's on all digital platforms. But we want to know, and you kind of touched on it just now, so that's why I want to ask, when is the album coming out? Because we're ready. We are ready. When is it dropping?
The album, my birthday is June 30th, and our drop date is around that time. It's the last Friday in June. That's the tentative date, and we're still trying to figure out the title of the album title, but it's going to be very diverse. We got a couple worship numbers on there, 1 or 2 hymns on there. I even got 1 quartet number on there. So I think whatever your musical taste, it's going to be something that's going to be real. Yeah, I got one called "Praise Your Way Through," and it's a bop. It's got a real good groove on it, but it's very musical and very musical. So the musicians gonna love it. It's quartet, but it's relevant in terms of how things sound now. So I really feel good about it. Praise your way through.
We are ready. We are
so ready. So you mentioned that you want to give people a chance to record as well. is that label. I know you created the studio here. So can you share that? Like, how do you have time for a label, studio, preach, husband, father? Like, how do you have time for all of that?
Well, I think that's the key now. I think before my challenge is, I think my job should be to, cast the vision, drop it, and somebody else will take it and run with it. And I've had a bunch of talented people around me, but talent is one thing in producing music and going to the studio and doing tracks. It's another thing to be a visionary, to have understand business and administration in the
Yeah,
music industry. And so we've
yeah.
been talking about it. As a matter of fact, Miranda, you and her sing at the same time. We're the first
Mhm.
ones to talk about doing a label. And years ago, this had to be 2015, and we were getting ready to actually sign her. Um, and and we weren't ready, and she was doing some things differently. And I realized, I said,
Mhm.
you know what, guys, so many pastors stifle me, and unfortunately, the black church, we stifle creativity. Most of our artists and our people who are creatives, they have to go outside the church because if you can't sing or play,
Yeah.
typically you can't really do anything in church. I think it's a reasonable service, and most of what we do in theater and film is so corny. That's why I hate Christian films because it looks like garbage and the storylines are corny most of the time. So I'm like, how do we give people creatives an opportunity to do things in ministry where they can actually benefit from their gift? And what I want to
Yeah.
do is give people an opportunity, even through Pepper Street Records, which is my label that we started. So people who want to do some inspirational stuff, gospel, jazz, doesn't have to be church
Yeah.
music. We don't want anything that's violent or that the other stuff, but
Right.
but it doesn't have to be. It can be just music. I love music. And so I look forward to
Yeah.
give people an opportunity to do that and putting resources together. But the key to answer your question is you got to have people who can take the vision, who have a passion for it, who can see it and say, okay. And I think that's what I've been lacking. Somebody who, in all those areas, who can do the film, who can do a record label and know who the AR, who can do A&R for the artists and
Yeah.
talent development and those types of things. And those are the things that we haven't had the structure, and that's what I'm putting together now. And I can just oversee and make sure the funds are there because you got to put money behind people. And if you got a studio and put funds to advertise it and put it with the radio people, the digital people, it can work. And it's too much talent. We got so much talent in our church. Oh my God, we can record a
Absolutely.
Yeah.
record every month in our church just with the talent we're connected to. And I want to be able to do that and take the pressure off of people.
Yeah.
And with the fact that you've been an artist for a while, you've done multiple singles and now finally a album of your own. I'm so ready for it. What are some of the stumbling blocks that you may have encountered and gotten over as an artist when it comes to recording an album?
It's funny when you say I'm an artist. That's the fun to
Yeah.
that's fun
You
to
are.
even hear.
It's
Um,
okay. Walk in.
yeah, I think the key for me is having confidence, and secondly, when you do this, you really have to do it, and you have to make sacrifices. You have to put the time into it. I think you got to have a plan. That's something that I've never had a plan. I will come up with an idea. Oh, okay, I'm turning 40. Let me do a single. We did a record for the church in 2010 called Live in the Cathedral. Well, when we bought the church in 2009, one of the stipulations was we had to have $100,000 the year by November 25th of 2010. So it's January. I'm like, Lord, we don't have the money. We need the money in 11 months. How can we do it? Oh, we got a CD. So in July, I pulled some people together, got some songs together, and put the musician together, and let's record this, and $15 for the CD, and $10 for the CD, and 15 for the DVD. Listen, we got these many members. If we sell this many copies, we can have the money to pay off the down payment that I didn't have last year. So that's how Live in the Cathedral came about. It wasn't artistry. It was like, how can we produce some music for people to buy? It was a fundraiser. You know what I mean? So I've never really had a plan for artistry. It was just like if we support ourselves, we can pay this $100,000 to this for this mortgage. So that's what happened. And so never had a plan. But you got to have a plan, and then I think most important, you got to have somebody who knows what they're doing. And what I've been doing, I know a lot of people who are artists who giving advice, but you got to have somebody who can oversee this in the industry who knows how to do radio, knows how to do publicity, knows how to do the digital pieces of it, knows how to do the marketing piece, and have relationships and connections, and have somebody to produce it. I was good knowing the singers and the producers and the musicians, but the business side of it and getting A1 people to run that part, something I had never done. And you got to have a budget.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you have a budget to
Absolutely.
make it work. And so that's what a lot of our people are running. People like Mignon and so many others who sing for everybody else. You know, hey man, can sing as well as anybody else. Why not put them in a position where that stuff can prosper, where you can get it in the digital platforms, make sure it's hitting radio and all those types of things, and make sure faces everywhere. And that's something that sometimes those record labels now they're not spending the money because music has changed so much. So that's what I want to do: help people, to get out there, particularly those who are connected, and even those who may be gifted in the community.
This is incredible. But I'm just gonna say that you definitely have what it takes to be that artist. I mean,
Wow.
you are incredible. You are definitely sought after. You're talked about in so many places. So, like one particular, my brother, he never lets a week go by where he calls me and go, man, if your pastor just needs somebody to just be there, like I just want to. I ain't even gotta do nothing. I just want to come and just sit under. I just want to learn. And my brother been preaching for 30 some years now. He's like, I just want to come sit under him and just learn from him. I mean, people are literally just getting on to just glean from you. They just want what you have. And it's just incredible to be attached and connected to someone as great as you. And then you're not selfish. Like your heart is so big. People are continuously asking, what kind of man is he like? You know what I'm saying? Like he dope, you know what I'm saying? Like we hear him preaching, but what kind of man is he off the screen? I'm like, what you see on the screen, that's who he is. Like on screen, off the screen. I mean, that's who he's serious about his music. He's serious about his preaching. But when he love hard. And he shows that, you know what I'm saying? And your love is not a passive love where you're saying yes about everything. No, you're gonna come, if it ain't right, your love gonna be like, correct it. And I appreciate that because you're not gonna let us just do anything. Like you're gonna make sure that what you see in us, that it comes out. And so I'm great. I'm tearing up. I'm grateful for you. I'm just so thankful. I mean, I can't say thank you enough for you just being who you are. And I want you, at this point, I want you to share with those aspiring artists, like those who want to be artists, and even those preachers that may be afraid to step out. Can you encourage them? Can you share something with them in this moment?
Well, first of all, I'm incredibly moved, man. And I've been, I really am. Too much teared up. I mean, that's very touching. I've started listening to your dad when I was 15.
Wow.
So the things that you said your brother said about me, I'd be around in his back listening to your dad preach with my mouth open, listening to your uncles, Bolton brothers. I remember your aunt played basketball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was following your family long before I met you in 2010, 2009.
Yeah.
And so to hear you say these comments is mind blowing because that's exactly how I feel about Bolton brothers, your Aunt Ruthie, everybody. So I'm just blown away. I'm really touched by that. But thank you for those kind words. I think what I would say, I think this whole experience for me has been what I would say to answer your question. What I said, aspiring artists. I think you have to have a message, I believe, and that's why I think your presence of gift is different because that song for me comes out of my own pain, and I think God gave me a message that people needed to hear. And the other piece I think is you got to have people around you, as you said, who will tell you the truth. And just because I say I want to be, there are a lot of people who make CDs don't need to be making them. And I was
Absolutely.
uncomfortable. Like I know I sing in church, but I haven't really just been singing a long time. I maybe have taken my time to really sing something 3 or 4 times in 10 years. Most times it's just church. We don't practice. We just get in church and what I do in church is I tend to y'all sing something in church, and I think about okay, well this service has gone by. We hadn't touched the older people, or how can I make sure we touch all generations? So typically,
Yeah.
while y'all singing something, if the spirit is moving or I feel like the old folks may not be left out, I find a song, something drop in my head that flows what you got. We don't talk about this stuff, it's just all spontaneous. So So what happens is I haven't been preparing myself for this. So I think, you know, those who watch, if you want to do this, you got to prepare yourself for it. You got to be around people like yourself and Corey who do this, you know, in film. You guys sing on a professional basis, you know, and so you got to be around people and watch what they do. You know, watch what they do, learn from them, glean from them, ask God to give you a message. And I think the most important thing is don't let people put labels on you. And I think that's what happened to me. The people I respected growing up, you know, said you can't do this and do that. And so I just think you can't let people stop you. God has given you the gift and you got the right people around you who will tell you the truth to develop your gifts. Don't let labels or the expectations stop you. And that's what I did. And you be around the right people who can push you to get to that point. And I just think that's the whole key for me. Get the right people around you, the right team around you, who can be honest, who love you enough to tell the truth, who can push you, and who can help you develop your talent and your gifts. I think if you do that and just follow God. Follow God.
Awesome.
You know, this is the part that we hate. The worst part of the show.
The worst part.
And we're nearing the end, unfortunately. But you have been, Pastor, I can't tell you enough, like how, I don't know, elated we are just to have you here, just to be able to not only talk to you, but on this level to learn some things that we didn't even know, you know, being that we've known you for years, but a lot of things that we didn't know at all. And we want to thank you so much. It's an honor to even have you here as our guest.
Yeah.
Even though we see you, but to have you here as a guest on our show,
yes,
we are honored. We are so honored.
It's so wonderful to see y'all in this environment. It really is. And I think the creativity, this is the future. The future is media. The future is hybrid. You know, it's not just coming to church having concerts. So what you're doing here is powerful. And, you know, I can see this for many years to come. And I think many things are going to happen. I think y'all going to be pleasantly surprised because y'all got the right chemistry. And I just so thank y'all for taking the time and making the sacrifices because I think this is going to be much bigger than y'all really think. So thank y'all for serving. Y'all serve every week. You know, y'all two of the main reasons why our ministry has been able to do what it's done over the past year, particularly this difficult time and in the past, but especially the past year. So thank y'all for what y'all do because y'all are excellent people, excellent singers, and just excellent human beings. And I'm honored to partner with you and honored to serve with you. And thank y'all for inviting me. I'm blown away. I really am. So thank you.
Well, we thank you again, Pastor. And we want to thank all of the viewers for tuning in with us today with our amazing pastor, artist, musician, our friend, Dewey Smith Jr. We are so excited to have him with us today. Now, this is my part that I love. We're going to toss it over for a performance by our very own Dewey Smith with Your Presence is a Gift.
Yes.
And by the way, I got a chance to sing background on this, so you'll see my face.
Pick me. I was there too. Did you forget that I was there too?
But ain't nobody talking to you though, Corey.
But the people, you just acting like this. I'm on the show with you.
But that's because he's my pastor though.
I am a man blessed beyond my dreams, but it don't mean nothing. Life's not good as it seems. Love and riches, what do they really mean? They may come and go, but you will never leave. So save your treasure. We find our pleasure. All our joy is in you. Just want more of you. So save your treasure. We find our pleasure in you. You are reward. Oh, your presence. Your presence is a gift. I'm thankful because you're our reward. Your presence. Your presence is a gift. Ooh. God, we're desperate for you. Like we need air, like we need water, But most importantly, we need your presence. So save your treasure. We find our pleasure. All our joy is in you. And your right hand are treasures and pleasures forevermore. So save. We find our pleasure in you. You're our reward. Oh, your presence. Your presence is a gift. I'm thankful because you. Oh, your presence is a gift. I give you praise because you are our reward, and I'm thankful. Your presence is a gift. My hands are lifted because I give you glory, I give you honor, give you praise. Your presence in the gifts is a gift. Having you, it is plenty. That simply means you're more than enough. You'll be that. You'll be. You are my reward. Your presence is a gift. I'm thankful because you're our reward. Your presence is a gift. Your presence is a gift. Jehovah Shammah, you Jehovah Tiskanu. I said your presence is a gift. I thank you because of you. Your presence is a gift. Yes, it is. Your presence is a gift. Your presence is the gift that I need.